On xenophobia in southern Africa, as we're joined by Amir Sheikh Hussein. He is the chairman of the Somali Community Board in South Africa, and he would be joining us because President Jacob Zuma has insisted that South Africans are not xenophobic following an anti-immigrant demonstration in Pretoria which led to violent clashes. Speaking to local media, Mr. Zuma also implied that there were more immigrants coming to South Africa than to European countries. The main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, has meanwhile blamed that government's failure to keep its election promises as the cause of xenophobia. Police commissioner there said police would remain on standby this weekend to maintain peace in troubled communities. The last major wave of xenophobia that hit Johannesburg and Durban was in 2015. To further discuss this issue, we are now joined on Skype by Amir Sheikh Hussein. He is the chairman of the Somali Community Board in South Africa, and he joins me on Skype. Thank you, Mr. Hussein, and welcome to Midday Live.
Thank you very much, and thanks to also your listeners.
Very well. Now, Mr. Hussein, first of all, President Jacob Zuma has insisted that South Africans are not xenophobic. Do you agree with him in this comment?
To a certain extent, I do not agree with President Jacob Zuma because he is safeguarding the interest of his community by saying that the majority of South Africans are not xenophobics. In certain extent, I may have agreed with him, but the fact of the matter is, as an African diaspora, especially those of us coming from countries that have taken actually a great part in the liberation of this country, what we saw ongoing is nothing short of actually a dislike of African migrants by a community that was isolated lengthily by the gruesome apartheid and who sees us as more inferior than them and place us in a category where they do not want actually our interests, considering the fact that South Africa is a country that majority of the wealth is still in the hand of the minority whites.
Okay, now Sheikh Hussein, before we continue, could you just turn your camera horizontally so that we can have a clear view of you? Very well. Excellent. Perfect. Now, let's carry on. It's very well now. Thank you. Now, the Somali community has been one of the targets, and this issue was also in 2015. What are you doing to keep the Somali community safe?
Nigerian or the Ghanaian that have got influence in South Africa and whose actually country South Africa invested hugely. We are coming from a country that is coming from the verge of war, 25 years, 2 decades and a half war, and it is actually our embassy is not that much functional like the Nigerian. We cannot actually retaliate, we cannot do much. So we leave everything to the government, to our own, in order to liaise with the government so that at least we can actually plead on behalf of our constituency so that they can be respected in a dignified manner and at least their interest actually safeguarded by the same government that we are blaming, perpetuating this actually mess.
Very well. Now, South Africans have been very vocal. They've complained that foreigners are taking over their jobs and have brought crime to their country. What do you make of this?
We aren't actually taking anyone's job. Taking actually broadband, even businesses close to the community. They used to commute actually going and to buy essential but the fact of the matter is, since actually the migrants have come, and I'm talking generally of all migrants in the country, the situation have actually changed. Now they can get all the essential goods, they can get everything they need on actually credit basis, developed on mutual interest without one even producing his identification. And all this is actually done by the fact that we sought them as a brothers because we share a lot of commonality with them. But in return, all that we get is actually killing, maiming, looting our businesses. And since the advent of democracy and the South African government, especially the law enforcement, are not doing much about
Amir,
it.
We are going to be joined now by Christabel Damson, who's a Ghanaian living in South Africa. So please hold on for us. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue with you shortly. Hello and welcome to Midday Live, Ms. Damson.
Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
First of all, have Ghanaians been targeted in this latest wave of xenophobic attacks in South Africa?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, I hope you can hear me clearly.
The line is breaking up. I can't hear you clearly.
You can't hear me clearly. Okay, well, I was asking if Ghanaians have been targeted in this latest wave of xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
Sorry? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Can you come again?
Okay, I'd come again. I'm asking, have Ghanaians been targeted in this latest wave of xenophobic attacks in South Africa?
Yeah, it's raining here, so I can't hear you.
Okay, okay then. But we are grateful, however, for your time. Amir, thanks for staying with us.
I can hear you.
Very well. Thanks for staying with us. Let's carry on. Now, looking at the foreigners in South Africa, okay, how are the various groups ensuring that their people are kept safe?
The countries that have got missions and South Africa have invested hugely must embark on actually a campaign like the Nigerian did through the international platforms for South African government to respect the international protocols that it have signed, that include the Refugee Convention, the UN Geneva Convention of 1952, the 1968 Convention of the AU, which South Africa have domesticated into the Refugee Act. And I think by putting pressure, the South African government actually will heed the calls of this government. But I do not see a situation, whether it will, of actually people going out in order to attack the interests of South Africans, because it may be retaliatory. It will not actually, it will either worsen the situation and not improve the situation. So I think South Africa won its independence by international solidarity, and via international solidarity with our respective African countries, at least we can arrest this situation.
Very well. Amir Sheikh Hussein, we're very, very grateful for your time on Midday Live this afternoon. He's the chairman of the Somali Community Board in South Africa, joining us there to discuss the xenophobia in South Africa. You're still watching Midday Live.